Hello and welcome to this review from Gearist.com. My name is Brandon, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Tetra flashlight, lantern, and USB charger from UCO.
If I've said it once, I feel like I've said it 1,000 times. We love outdoor gear that is super versatile and doesn't limit itself just to one thing. So we've seen things like running shoes that do really well on road and on trail. We've seen things like packs that do really well as day hikers, but also as mountain bike packs. These are all things that we really appreciate and love to see the versatility and the forward thinking in. And this little guy from UCO is no different. Now, first thing, based out of Redmond, Washington, UCO stands for, as it says right here, utility, comfort, and originality, and this thing has all three of those wrapped up into one with no fewer than 3 individual uses that you can put this thing to. So without any further ado, let's get into what it's all about and how you can use it. The first mode we're going to talk about using this in is the flashlight mode, since it's the most obvious. Now, first thing you'll notice about this is that it's 4.5 inches tall. This is in its flashlight mode. 4.5 inches tall is really very small and compact. This is actually something that we love, not just for kind of in your pack or when you're out on a bike ride or something like that where it might get dark out, or a run for that matter, but this is something that could go easily in your glove box of your car. So definitely keep that in mind. Even if you don't think you would use this as an outdoor device, this is something to have around your house and in your car. Very, very useful. But in flashlight mode, again, 4.5 inches tall. Inside, there's a 170 lumen Cree LED bulb. This thing is bright. Now, you saw me light my face up at the beginning, and that's kind of fun and silly and all that stuff. And, you know, to really get a feel for this, you kind of have to see it out in the field in action. But for lack of that, right now, I'm just going to kind of turn the lights out and shine it around a little bit. Now, you can maybe see how bright this is on our background back here. It's kind of hard. Now, this is about 5 or 6 feet away, and the beam radius you can see at this point is probably about 6 or 7 feet. And believe me, as it goes out, it still remains focused on that center there, but that beam continues to spread as much as you might need it, providing a huge amount of light for a long distance away from you. Something that's really brilliant about this, and again, this is that originality part that UCO stands for, is the power button right here. Now, what's cool about it is it serves several purposes. 1, obviously, turn the thing on and off. 2, this plastic or rubber that's over top of it is actually glow in the dark. So when you're fumbling around, if it's, again, in your car, or if it's in a tent, or if it's in a pack and you can't quite see it, you're going to be able to see this little guy right here, glows in the dark. That's really a cool feature. Another cool thing is that when you press it just one time, that flashes a little bit. It's going to give you kind of an idea of where the battery life is. Now, I've worn this down pretty far right this second, so it's only blinking like one time, but you can get it up to several blinks that are going to get it. Say, well, this is how much relative battery life is left. Now, the other thing that the power button does is it dims this light and takes it into strobe mode. Now, you push it twice again to turn that light on. As you can see there, if you hold it down, and I'll try not to point directly at the camera, you hold it down, the light progressively gets more dim, all the way down to 5 lumens, and then it flashes and goes into strobe mode when you get down low enough. Now, this is really, really useful in the case, obviously, of an emergency or something like that, but again, this is why this is really great for your car as well. If you pulled over on the side of the road or something, you want to be visible, having a bright light just pointing back at other cars, that's certainly one thing, but having a flashing bright light is another thing, and you don't just look like another car pulled over on the side of the road. Before I forget, one of the other things that I find really nice about this is the way that it's shaped. There are no real sharp angles. It's a very fluid kind of bulb that you've got up here, and it just holds really nicely in the hand. Now, let's look at how this transitions from flashlight mode into lantern mode, because I'm sure you're going to find it super complex. Ready? Don't blink. Lantern mode. That's it. So what happens is that down here is your Cree LED bulb. Up here, you've got a reflecting panel on the backside, which when the bulb is in flashlight mode like this, the bulb sits inside that reflecting panel. But like this, it uses that to reflect the light around. And the bulb itself, you can see, is kind of opaque, which makes that light more diffuse and makes it, you know, kind of cast a wider beam. So again, let's turn the lights out and see what it looks like in lantern mode. So here we are in flashlight mode, and all I'm going to do again is pull that up, and there we are in lantern mode. You can see that light is nice and bright and diffuse. If you hang it from a tent or something like that, you got a really great general light source. Yes, it's not as sharp individually, but when you need something that's going to kind of be more ambient light, this is an excellent source, an excellent way to do that. When extended into full lantern mode, the UCO Tetra is 6.25 inches tall, and they don't want you to just kind of have it sitting on the ground, because that would kind of defeat the purpose of having this nice nice diffuse light. Two things they've accounted for putting this wherever you need it. One, you've got this D-ring right up here on top. You could hang it from a carabiner on your pack or something like that. You could also hang it on the top of a tent. It also has a flat bottom, so when you're at a campsite, you find a flat surface, set it on there like that. You've got it just a nice light. It's a really, really smart design, and it seems like they thought of pretty much everything. Now, probably one of the coolest things about this light is its USB charging capability. On the base here, you'll notice these two kind of little black sections. These are each rubber caps that basically plug where the USB ports are. This actually keeps it water resistant to IPX5 rating. Now, on this side right here, we've got the place where you actually charge light using a micro USB. Now, everybody's got 6 gajillion micro USB plugs laying around. You can see this is where you charge it right there. Now, this is a 3.7 volt lithium ion rechargeable battery, obviously. And then over here, you've got your actual USB port where you can charge pretty much anything that uses a USB. Not pretty much, you can charge anything that uses a USB plug right there. Super, super easy to access and just really very, very useful. Now let's talk about the Tetra's performance. One of the great things about this is that recharge time. It recharges fully in about 3.5 hours. And keep in mind, this isn't just a flashlight you're recharging, it's the USB charging capability as well. In terms of actual battery life for usage purposes, at high power, this is advertised to run for 5 hours straight. At low power, that's at 5 lumen setting, it's set to run for 120 hours. That is on for 120 hours. Now, a couple things to keep in mind about that is that you can dim it to a certain level. So there's not an exact science in between that 5 hours and 120 hours, but you can dim it to whatever you deem an acceptable lightness at that point. And also, if you're charging things from the USB, obviously it's going to diminish the battery life. It's not really an exact science. It really depends on how much you're using it to charge. What I would recommend is pairing something like this with a solar charging unit that's using the sun, obviously, to kind of charge itself and recharging the unit itself at night. That way you've got the battery for the flashlight as well as the USB charging capability when you need it. Now, a couple more details for you. One is that this thing comes in well under 5 ounces at 4.2 ounces. UCO advertised at 4.3. When I weighed it came in at 4.2. Now, the real icing on the cake for this little sucker is how much it costs. Again, keep in mind you're getting the flashlight that's super, super bright, 170 lumens, in this really tiny and compact package. I love this thing in a pack. I love it in the car. It's just really great for that. And it's got a lantern mode. And it's a USB charger. I mean, let's say you get straight into your car, your GPS or your phone isn't working anymore. This can charge it up. It's really, really a great tool to have around. That is $50. Seriously, $50. I mean, it's a very, very impressive, in my mind, a very, very impressive price point. And we've actually listed where you can get it REI and Amazon down below in the description. So definitely check that out if you're interested. It's a really great package to have around. The Tetra is just one of the most versatile things we've seen yet, and certainly a front runner for Gear of the Year this year at some point. We're just really in love with this thing, and I can't see why anyone, no matter who you are, whether you're an outdoorsy person or not, you should definitely have one of these sitting around your house or your car somewhere. This is a very useful and important tool to have around. Now, our question for you guys today is, what's the one piece of thing that you think is so versatile that you absolutely have to have it wherever you can? Let us know in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much for spending a few minutes with us today. If you've got any questions about this review or any of our reviews, don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below, or reach out to us by emailing info@gearist.com, or just find us on social media. Most of the time it's at The Gearist on Twitter and Instagram, and /Gearist on Facebook. You can also look over here on our right, and those are all links to our social media. Please feel free to check it out. And down below, always contact us by going to Gearist.com. Take a look at all of our reviews. Also, don't forget our Ask Gearist series. We just put out a great one the other day about whether heavier runners need to be in more heavily cushioned running shoes. Hint, the answer is no. If you want your question to appear on Ask Gearist, please feel free to shoot us a note, info@gearist.com, or just ask in the bottom of any of our videos, and we'd be happy to address it when we get the chance. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to spend with us today, and we'll see you next time.